Hey guys, it's Christian from Emotions in Wine. So we are back to the series My Iconic Wines. So something that I really consider special with soul, history, family, hard work, not the usual suspect of the big brands. And it's the first time we talk about Croatian wine in this series. For several reasons, it was not the right time, now it is. So we picked a big wine, a famous winery that can compete internationally, not just in the Croatian wine scene. So something very special we spoke about before from a special grape, white grape, one probably the most interesting in the country. So we are talking about Bire Grk Defora 22 vintage. So we are in South Dalmatia, Korcula Island specifically, which is the symbol of winemaking in Croatian islands. Because of several reasons, I will refer you to other videos about that. Basically, Josip and Grk, so the two of the most prestigious white grapes of the country, were born there naturally. There is a very long history. So it's really a symbol of winemaking, and Frano and Milina, so Bire and Luka Krajancic, were the two icons since the collapse of Yugoslavia and Croatian independence 30 plus years ago. They started and they became quickly a reference for the winemaking in the region, not just in the island. Grk, as we've spoken more times about, is really a special grape, very rare, very tiny production. So that is another key specialty of this wine, along with the terroir, which is really something. I always say also the climate there is special, but first of all the terroir. So Grk is made in Lumbarda village, on sandy mostly, but there are different soils. And this, which is the Cru, so the top flagship wine of the winery, is made instead only on the rocky slope facing the sea on the southern part of the island. So higher altitudes, because usually the vineyards are low, rocky, very little topsoil, very dry. Okay, age of vines in this case is not huge because they rebuilt this vineyard 20 plus years ago, so not old, but naturally yielding very little because of the rocky and dry climate also. So everything giving already the key characteristics for a top wine, and different character from most of the other Grk, because the majority are mostly on sandy or a bit clay, so very little hectares are on the rocky slopes. So they were the first winery in Grk areas in Lumbarda who did progress, who did invest, who did develop, who reach high quality standards. There are few other wineries, some competing nowadays, but beer remains a symbol. To know more, link below. There was the interview to Josip, so the winemaker, son of Frano. There you get really a full interview to know all about this winery and their family and their history. So I start to pour it. It's open a while, but it will need time to breathe, not to be too cold. It's already out of the fridge since a while. You see the color quite rich. It's 22 vintage, 13.5 alcohol. 22 vintage was nothing crazy, was warmer, but that is warm always. The main point is if they get humidity during harvest or if there is enough rain. So as Josip told us in the interview, there are very few very difficult and negative vintages. Majority are textbook or very good. In the normal Grk, they have the blending from the different positions. Here, being single vineyard, you cannot play. As you can see, beautiful position, all the upper part, which is even 250, 300 meters with breezes, so humidity there is very rare. They use that upper part for this wine that is made almost every year. Of course, only in the bad vintage they don't make it. It's undergoing a completely different process from the regular. Besides the selected grapes only from here, the use of oak, so Slavonian big cask made from Garbellotto Cooper in Italy. So interesting, this combo. So big cask fermentation after soft pressing, so there is the skin contact of few hours during the process. To know more in general about Grk, I give you the links to the other two important videos. There was a tasting of 3 of the main wines from the area, the regular ones, and then also more info about the grape, the characteristics, and the history. So it's a naturally born on the spot, the grape, and is protected designation Lombarda specifically. So this small corner of Korcula Island. Then nowadays is made in the middle of the island, even outside of the island, in Pelješac Peninsula, so opposite to Korčula. I tasted some of those, interesting, but these have something more. The terroir concept for many grapes, as you may know, is really specific and important. There are not many of those grapes that can fit around the planet. So the color is goldish already, 22 is 4 years old now almost. 1.5 years after the fermentation, still in cask on fine lees. So basically, what is the point? They use oak, so bigger mostly, very little new. They want to balance the use of oak according to the need of the wine, to find the balance, to give just a touch of complexity, the micro oxygenation of the wine. So to make it more complex, especially on the fine lees, creamy, and able to age longer. The acidity is naturally high, even in that hot Mediterranean climate, very little rain, but the grape itself has it. So that is very important. Then is harvesting time, as he said, always key to make a great wine. I totally agree. If you don't catch the right timing of the harvest according to the vintage, you make a big mistake. Very pleasant nose immediately. Immediately different from the normal Grk. You have a mix of things coming out. The fruit, first of all, and the mineral. Here is all limestone rocky, very dry, very little topsoil. So it's very mineral, the wine, indeed, and give more structure to the wine, also for the aging potential. Delicate fruit, but being riper, I don't find any citrusy anymore like it was in the fresh ones. It's more a bit of riper, yellow tendentially, touch of melon, other yellow fruit, but delicate, and not prevailing on the other things. That is about the harmony of the wine, no? Hint of herba so far. Spiciness, I would say, almost nothing. So I tried even their 21 vintage, where there was a bit more influence of the oak. So they are fine-tuning everything. Josip is younger and is giving a touch. Of course, Frano, his dad, is still in charge, but Josip is giving a touch to the winemaking that gives more refinement. A note of cool now coming out, and a bit more this herbal, which is quite typical of the grape. Even the bittery note, especially on the end from these herbal notes. Of course, here there is also a bit of contribution of oak, even if the big casks are used. Then they use still Slavonian, but smaller ones. So based on the quantity they have, so it's about 2,000, 2,500 bottles per year, the production, and about the need of the wine. So indeed 22 is more refined than 21. So they are stepping up. Ratings are huge. This is considered one of the very best white wines in Croatia, always by the critics. I agree 100%. And it's very competitive. Even internationally, as I hinted, even on the aging potential. They don't have library. Of course, they tried some back vintages. I couldn't either. So, but I see the potential. Indeed, I asked them. So I really recommend you to watch the video. There is a lot to see and to know about them, also about the winemaking in the area. I see the potential of these wines. You may think hot, dry, how come should be bolder and to drink? No, the adaptation of the grapes to the landscape And then it's not the crazy hot. That is a microclimate that is incredible. The breezes, the sea surrounding, so they have nice climate that is never reaching too crazy hot. The rain is enough. The plants adapt, so you can have really all the characters needed for an aged wine, a classy wine. Now a bit of the rounder note from the creamy coming out, but no spicy really so far. So very balanced nose, really very balanced, very attractive, very lively with this minerality and explosion. An explosion. Still the freshness, the mineral, the touch of herbal spice also here a bit, that bitter little finish, feel in the mouth, the glycerin, so a bit of creamy, oily also from the vinification. Outstanding. Outstanding. They are progressing furthermore. So, and now I would say is the perfect drinking window starting. After almost 4 years, is the perfect timing. It was aged, as said, longer in the cask, and then 1 year bottle refinement. So about 3 years before being released, and now it's almost 4. So now almost 2 years of bottle, really getting interesting. But I see the potential. I see the potential to age well. This is a wine for sure to save in the cellar, keep there for some time. There will be, in the end of the video, of course, next day, tasting. It deserves, and to see how it evolves. The finesse is unbelievable. They reach really a top-notch level. And it was not the best vintage, as I said. Complexity is coming out, so we will see much more tomorrow for sure. Now this cool, very interesting, because there is a bit surprising. And there is no volcanic soil. But really confirming still the freshness on the palate, as I said, the acidity marking very well still. So it's really a perfect balance of all the ingredients. And the drinking window now outstanding. Yeah, now a bit more the creamy, a bit more herbal touch of spice. So the fruit is a bit overtaken now. Also these layers showing up one by one, very interesting. Yeah, the freshness is super, really cleaning the palate. So actually, surprisingly, you can even enjoy it itself. Still that fresh, cleaning, mineral, making you salivating. You really can go even without any food. Of course, it's a food-friendly wine. Seafood, even quite rich. Dishes from there would be the perfect match. But even itself, it does a perfect, incredible. The minerality. This is the rocky slopes, nothing to do, limestone, and giving this structure. But it's not powerful. It's not too rich. It's really classy because even on the palate keeps you clean, and the oak, as said, is very minimal influence giving. So outstanding. Touch of bitter, very minimal. So far, impressed and very happy because when you store it, you never know. Even the moment you open is always also about luck. So let's see how is the next day. Here we are, guys, back. It was impressive, I must say, impressive already in the development. Furthermore, in the evening, I didn't try it yet today, but an explosion in every way because it kept changing. It's still showing something else. Much more on those from secondary and tertiary notes. So marking further the herbs, still always a small touch of spices, the cool persisting, so this mineral really incredible, and a hint to those petrol notes that are typical of Riesling, and that, as we spoken in the interview with Josip, are a characteristic of age Grk. So, of course, this is a big wine which can age a lot compared to the regular. So, all the evolution is slower. So, those notes will come out later. Here is just really a touch, but giving much more complexity to the wine, indeed. And this very nice character. Yeah, now is much more all these things. So overall, I am absolutely impressed by the step up and how competitive it is. Mind it, my iconic Quintodecimo Greco di Tufo was one of the very best white wines I had in the channel, and this is really up there. And indeed, I like it more than the iconic wine, Terlano Vorberg Pinot Bianco we had a few weeks ago. This has something more in complexity and also is more attractive to me. Of course, here there is more oak than in that wine because that is huge casks and used many years. So here that can contribute to give something more. And the timing of the drinking now is outstanding. So if you have the chance, put your hands on a bottle at least of this wine. I'm enjoying it a lot, all along. Yeah, also on the palate, more remarking, still also the fruit on the palate you tasted more, but remarking more this herbal, the touch of spice, and this hint turn into those petrol notes. So, and then the cool, always sustained by this great acidity still. So, fantastic wine. And the length and depth that it has is staying there forever. So really unbelievable. It's not cheap. Retail is 50 plus in Croatia. Winery is 50. In shops you pay more. As said, just a couple of thousand bottles. So it's really a rarity, handcrafted, glorious wine. Indeed. I hope you enjoy, guys. Like, subscribe to get more of these things. There will be some new touch that I was thinking about. Help us to grow, to reach more people. See you next time, and salute!